What is going on, guys? Chris with Jerno's Comments and Pop Culture. Guys, the Spider-Man talk is not over, and I really don't want to put comicbook.com on blast, but I'm going to use them because I'm tired of the clickbait, really. Now, this just released today, this article about the door being closed for Spider-Man in the MCU, and multiple websites published this piece, but I decided to run with comicbook.com because of specifically how they titled it. Sony says doors closed to Spider-Man in the MCU. That is not 100% accurate, and that's why I'm doing a video on this, guys, because from the get, I've been saying that everything is extremely cryptic around this matter, and we still do not know 100% the details of what the heck is really going on behind closed doors. Looking at this article, let's read a little bit so you guys can see what I'm talking about. It states the Sony Pictures chairman and CEO Tony Vinciquerra, if I say that correctly, opened up about the subject at Variety's Entertainment and Technology Summit, saying, "For the moment, the door is closed. For the moment." The deal initially allowed Spider-Man to appear in Marvel Studios films, to coexist with the Avengers, and so forth. It does state that it expired following the Spider-Man Far From Home film, and Marvel's parent company, Disney, wanted a considerable lift in their cut of the box office revenues. Okay, once again, guys, if you follow my other videos regarding this issue, first off, let's point out that you can't read the titles of these articles and base your claim off that, because right here they took this completely out of context. The title says Sony says the door is closed. Actually, Sony says for the moment the door is closed. So those are two completely different things, guys. You have to understand that, right? Secondly, here, this goes back to everything that I've been saying regarding this issue. I honestly feel, and I'm going to kind of reiterate back to what I've said in previous videos. I truly believe that with Phase 4, with the MCU and Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige starting a brand new chapter of a brand new saga, right? Because the first 3 phases in the saga of Iron Man and Captain America and whatnot, building the Avengers up, that is completed, okay? So with a fresh new saga that's going to play out within the next 2 or even 3 phases like the prior saga did, Kevin Feige has a lot on his plate, and it's considerably larger than it's ever been with his streaming service shows on Disney Plus. All right, I mean, you can look at why that might be the only reason why there's 2 films in the first year of Phase 4, possibly. But he's got a lot on his plate, regardless. So I look at this again. I look at this as the fact that Sony holding the rights to Spider-Man forced Disney and Marvel Studios to come at Sony and say, hey, look, if we want Kevin Feige taking his time and energy to produce these films and to oversee these films, basically with no money being earned from it, we need more. We need more compensation. There needs to be more in it for us. Otherwise, he's got his plate full of stuff that is paying him. So that's why I think they went at it and wanted more money. It's got to be worth it for Kevin Feige. And Sony said, look, we've seen the success of Venom. We want to keep that confidence and feel like if we want to loan you Spider-Man, we're going to do it, making sure we get the most bang for our buck. And if not, look, we're confident in what we can do. We'll handle it. And I think the reason why it's still so cryptic, guys, and I've been saying this, is because they're both, for one, not done at the negotiation table. And 2, I honestly do believe that Kevin Feige, Marvel Studios, and everyone in charge at Disney is actually okay with letting Sony handle the next 1 or 2 solo Spider-Man films, and then allowing Sony to come back to the table then to bring Spider-Man back into the MCU at that point in time. Because Spider-Man's arc after Far From Home doesn't need the MCU. It doesn't need the Avengers. Tony's gone. Iron Man is gone. We saw Far From Home play out in a way. Spoilers here if you haven't seen it. We saw the effect of the loss of Tony Stark on Spider-Man in Far From Home, but we also saw Spider-Man and Peter Parker mature to say, I can do this without him. I know my role. So moving forward to where now the public knows Spider-Man's identity, we're going to have like Kraven the Hunter come after him possibly. We're going to have the Sinister Six come after him possibly. It's going to really turn into a heavier focus of this is Spider-Man and what he's dealing with personally. That's going to play out in the next film, and it most likely will play out in the 4th film, where Sony can then bring Venom into a film with Spider-Man. So guys, this isn't a loss for anyone here, really. And maybe I'm being too optimistic here, but again, I guarantee you they're being cryptic and saying the door's closed for now because Sony knows where they stand, or at least they're confident in where they stand and they don't want to budge. And Marvel is confident in where they stand and they don't want to budge. Or on top of that, there is an understanding of allowing Spider-Man to roam free with Sony, at least for the next 4 years, because I said in my other videos as well. Marvel Studios can't deliver a Spider-Man for Sony every 2 years at this point. I just don't see it happening, even if they agreed on a deal. I don't. I see it every 3 years, possibly, with everything on their plate and how everything's rolling out within the next 2 phases. So, guys, 2 things again to focus on. One, this isn't the end of the world, for one, I don't think, because I see Spider-Man's arc playing out in a positive way if Sony handled him for the next 2 films. And everyone's online and everyone's on social media talking about how Tony Stark in the Avengers and Iron Man Tech and all this can't be mentioned. Yes, it can. Okay? Aunt May in the Sam Raimi films mentioned Superman. The Flash in the TV show The Flash, they mention Spider-Man, or they make a lot of Marvel references. You can reference other trademark material just without showing its likeness. So they can reference Tony and Iron Man in the Avengers all they want. Now, on top of that, they can use certain, imagery that may look like, Stark Tech without it being like identical. Or we may even see Marvel Studios and Disney allowing certain licensed properties to show up in Sony films with Spider-Man, because they know that in the future they're going to cross over together, and we will see Tom Holland Spider-Man back in the MCU, and we will see Venom crossing over as the Venomverse becomes a separate universe within the MCU's multiverse. And I've said it before, this would be brilliant on both studios' parts to somehow make the Sonyverse Venomverse a alternate reality within the MCU's multiverse. And like I said in my last video regarding this as well, I see that the next Spider-Man movie, if Sony's handling it, where Spider-Man is on the run because his identity's been leaked and somehow he falls into an alternate dimension that is a multiverse, and he falls into the Sonyverse, and there you go. And that's why we don't see the Avengers. That's why we see none of these MCU characters. So that's my spiel on it, guys. Let me know what you guys think. I'm staying optimistic. It's all cryptic at this point, and we'll see. We'll keep our eyes and ears open as these days pass. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave some comments. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so. And until next time.